Okay, so welcome back to my new video. This video, I'm going to talk about multi-container. So the whole idea is that you want to have multiple containers running inside a single pod, okay? So there are ways of dealing with multi-containers. Some people call it SideCar. There are so many variety of multi-containers, but the one that I'm going to talk about is just the Init container, which is going to initialize before the main pod is going to run. Okay, so most of the time you see a lot of deployment with just one single container running in a pod. And there are also some instances where you have multiple pods that are running concurrently within a pod. So most of the time, the other container, you have a main container and then maybe a sidecar container or a helper container. Okay, so after the helper container runs, then the main container will be getting some data from the helper container or something of that nature. So it all depends on your use case and what you are trying to use the multi-container concept for. So sometimes you might want to use the multi-container approach in a case where you want to use init container to initialize your database with some data before your application connects to that database. Okay, you don't want to create empty database, so you want to initialize the database with some data before your application start consuming data from that database. So you can do such a thing under those scenarios. So communicating between containers in the same pod, you can use shared volume. Okay, so in this case we are going to use the empty there, and then the empty there it's a temporal storage space in your Kubernetes clusters. That depends on the life cycle of your pod. Once your pod dies, it means that all data will be lost on that volume. Okay, so it's just for a temporal purpose only. Okay, so you can use a volume to communicate between two containers running in the same pod. So creating a pod that runs two containers, the two containers share a volume that they can use to communicate. Okay, and also the volume provides a way for containers to communicate during the life of the pod. And if the pod is deleted and recreated, any data stored in the shared volume is lost. Okay, it's lost because it's just a temporal storage space for data. Okay, so if you look at the manifest file, you can see that the kind is what pod, and then the meta name is what two containers. It has a restart policy of never, and then the volume is called what shared data, and then the property is what empty there. Okay, so that is the volume property. It's just a temporary space to store some data. And then under the containers, you have nginx container and then the dbn container. And then the nginx has the image nginx, and then the dbn has the image dbn. And then you can see that we are mounting this temporary volume called shared data into the pod. Okay, so that's why you see volume mount, and then it references the name of the volume, shared data, and then it creates a mount path, user share nginx HTML. And under the dbn container, we mount again that volume, that same volume into the dbn image, and the mount is called share data, and then the mount path is pod-data. And this is just going to execute echo hello from the Debian container into an index.html file under the pod-data path, okay, or directory. So once we write that index into that directory, automatically nginx is going to pick that in the index.html because nginx is sharing the same volume with a Debian container. So that is the idea. So yeah, I think the idea is straightforward. So I'm going to show you another instance where we made use of the okay. So I'm in my IntelliJ IDE, and so as you can see, we have a deployment, okay, and then this is the name of the deployment, nginx deploy, and it has just one replica set, and then the volume here is what? Shared volume, and the property is what? Empty there, okay. And then we have the init containers, okay. The init containers, you can bring it down here and then containers up there. The position doesn't matter in this case, but Kubernetes is going to determine which one should run first. So when this deployment runs, it's going to run this container first. And this container, init container, is a busy boss. And then it's just going to write h1, this HTML tag h1, and then it's going to write hello Kubernetes, and then it's going to write it to this path, nginx data, and then it's going to store that information in index.html, okay. And then once that happens, then the other nginx, the nginx image, which is under containers, will pick that image because nginx is sharing the same volume, the same shared volume with busybox, and it's going to store that index.html under this path, okay, under this path, user share nginx html. So you're going to store it this way, index.html. Okay, so that's what is going to be stored on that empty there volume. Okay, so basically that is all for multi-container. So as you can see, containers is a list. Okay, it's a list of images. So we can decide to add another image here and then call it whatever you want to call it. Let's say Python 3 or whatever you want to call it. And then you make sure that you add all the properties to this image. Okay, so you can have multiple images, a list of images under containers. Okay, so we're not going to do that. I'm going to take that out. So basically that is just multi-container principle, and it's a very simple principle. I don't think there's too much to this principle. So the first, yeah, so basically that is it. I don't have much to say on that principle. So let's jump right into an example. Okay, so I'm currently in the terminal. And then I have these two files, multi-container1.yaml we're just going to make use of the first one. And I'm running Kubernetes get nodes. Okay, so we have 2 nodes that are ready and running. I'm going to cut multi-container 1. So as you can see, the same YAML file, you see, is deployment. And then we have the init container. We have the volume, which is being mounted into the init container, as well as the container itself, the main container. So if this busy box finished doing this work or writing this message to the HTML file, it's going to exit. Okay, so just for a temporal scenario. So once that happens, that busy box image is going to exit, and then the nginx image is going to start running. So this is a long running image, and this is just runs for a specific time period, and it exits out of the pod or the container, however you want to call it. Okay, so I'm going to apply this YAML file, kubectl apply -f multi container. We're not doing SideCar. Okay, so this is, since we are not specifying any namespace, it's going to go under the default namespace. Okay, so let me run this. Okay, so we can say kubectl get ports -w to watch. So you see the deployment, this is the pod, but you can see the pod is running already. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we can exec into this pod. Okay, so let me exec into it. So I'm going to say kubectl exec exec into it. So I'm going to run this. You see, you can see the nginx image as well as the busy box, which is the busy box is the init, and the nginx is the main. Okay. Okay, so this is the directory structure of our pod. Okay, so I'm going to say curl localhost. You see, we have the hello Kubernetes printed for us. Okay, so we can also cut user share nginx and then HTML, and then we say index. When we cut this, you see the same results. Okay, if we even do curl 127.0.0.1, we're going to get the same results. Okay, so what we want to do now is let me split vertically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say kubectl port forward from port 80 to 5000. So I'm going to, no, this is wrong. I'm going to, I'll need the name of this port. Is the name of the port. Okay. So I'm going to put in the name of the port. Okay, so this is how, so we want to forward the port from 80 to 5,000, given this port name. Okay, I hope I got the port name right. Okay, it's been forwarded. Okay. Okay, so it's working. So what I can also split the pin. So I can say curl localhost 5,000. You see the results. Okay, so I can also do something very interesting here. I can write a new message to that file. So what I can say is I can echo let's say hello go data prof. Okay, and then I pipe that to that file. Okay, so if I curl this, you see the message is what? Hello go data prof. Okay, so if I curl back this port, you see we get the results back. Okay, so this is the work of multi-container. Okay, so we can also check this localhost from our browser. So let me switch back to the browser. Okay, so as you can see the hello go data prof. Okay, so yeah, so basically this is the idea behind multi-container. So I think you now have the basis to go explore more about multi-containers. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.